Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody from all around the world, hello and welcome to another episode of The Worship with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. Let's make some noise, shall we? Let's clap it up, get excited wherever you are. We are back with with another live action show for you today on this Friday afternoon, covering the world of boxing and beyond. We're so happy to be with you all on today's episode. We appreciate you tuning in on our live stream, and hopefully you're enjoying your day. Hopefully you're enjoying your afternoon. Hopefully everything is going to be coming up roses as we continue through the world of boxing and beyond on our show today. And we got a whole host of my apologies. We got a whole host of topics and discussions to delve into because it is indeed the championship rounds on today's episode. That's right, on every Friday afternoon, it is your time to shine. It is your voice that we want to hear in all regards of the boxing world and beyond, as you control the flow of this show. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you are in control of the driver's seat of where this show goes and how we go and talk about any of our topics of discussion. Whatever we want to discuss, and whatever realm of debate that we want to delve into, you have the trigger to change the flow, everything that we know right here on this show with a simple chat in the old YouTube chat on the side of the screen or on your phone or wherever you may be. But even if you don't, we still got a whole host of topics that we're going to be discussing, like with new news when it comes to the world of Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney. Oh yes, indeed. We need to discuss some new updates on the happenings of why that fight seems to be on we want to say a collision course, but looks to be potentially on a little bit of a holdup, and who may be the man holding up said ability to get these talks to go on through. And it might not be who you think, as we're going by the reports of Sean Zito. Also with the new news, or with some more talking points with Keyshawn Davis in this whole Russian roulette of a three-pronged dominant top-tier division when it comes to Keyshawn, Shakur, and Devin Haney, all potentially at 147. Everybody's looking to say, hey, we may not get Shakur versus Haney, but we may get Haney versus Keyshawn if we see things pan out a certain way, because now he's fully in the mix of 147, and as he is now the new number one contender for the title that Devin Haney holds. Oh, yes, indeed. And he's rocking it up to the top of the mountain. All of that and so much more we will be discussing on today's episode. We appreciate you tuning in. We're glad that you're here. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Come on, be a part of the hottest show in all the globe and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Come join our empire and come be a part of our conglomerate that we're building up together. Leave a like on the video. One like makes a world of difference on how we are able to go and touch all aspects of the social media world and here on YouTube to spread us out to all the masses all across the globe. Hit the notification bell so you know whenever we post right here on YouTube. And please be sure to do the two most important things, which is, if you can support the channel, we got Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description if you can support the channel with anything monetarily, as well as super chats, super gifts, stickers, and the likes. If you can afford to, it would mean the world to us. Help us to pay the bills and help us to go through and edify this show to make it bigger, better, and stronger, and even more appealing, all for your viewing and listening pleasure. And the other thing is to be sure to share the show with everybody that you know, so we can keep on building up this empire together, making it do what it do and having us be the biggest channel in all of the globe. And like I said, all of that and more we can discuss is the championship rounds that we're going to be talking about. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to start the show off strong. It's time to have your thoughts and opinions. It's time to have your voice to be seen and heard. And it's time to talk sports and boxing show. So it's time to step into the ring, and it's time for the championship rounds. Yes, sir. Let's get it started. Let's get it popping. Let's get it going. Let's have ourselves a phenomenal show on today's episode. Also, we got people in the chat already, like with Peel Out. How you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on our live stream today, and we enjoy we enjoy you being a part of our humble abode on this on this Friday afternoon. Hopefully you've enjoyed the rest of your day. Hopefully everything has been all hunky-dory. Let me see. Spurs got to win tonight. Oh, yes, indeed. For you all that know, we cover more than just boxing. We cover the NBA and we cover the NFL. Speaking of the NFL, Myles Garrett getting traded to the Rams. We got to talk about that eventually on this show if we can get to it. But I digress. Spurs, yeah, they got to win. Knicks won at home, beat their home court advantage, taking a fourth quarter storming performance by Jalen Brunson to get the victory and win 1-0, and the first win that we've ever seen for the Knicks since 1999 in the finals. So now the Spurs, hey, they may not say it, but there's some pressure that's going to be felt, and they need to make sure they can get it done and secure at least a 1-1 series going into New York. Because my gosh, if Victor Wembanyama has another bad performance like he did last night, 2 for 13? Or no, I'm sorry, 2 for like almost 16 from the field. All of his points come from the free throw line. Still got 3 blocks. I believe got less than 10 rebounds, I believe. But on the whole, one of the worst performances we had seen from Victor on a big stage, and for all honesty, one of the worst performances offensively we've ever seen from him as a player. He can't do that. Jalen Brunson outplayed him. If he does that again, and Victor does this again, oh yeah, New York going to be going in that series 2-0. And it's going to get really raucous. And brother, New York with a 2-0 lead at home to potentially go to sweep like they've already swept Cleveland and like they haven't lost since their last loss against Atlanta in the playoffs. Oh, you better be afraid. You better be very afraid. But again, we're going to touch on that. We will talk about that later on in the show. But like we say, we still got Keyshawn Davis and the whole news with this stuff with him and Devin Haney going on. Let me see. Do you think Keyshawn is ready for Haney or needs more experience? Well, let's delve into it. Hey, let's have a discussion. Let's have a discussion. The potential happenings of the world of boxing is Devin Haney and Keyshawn Davis may just be the fight that happens next over everything else that we've been discussing as to the potential movements of 147 in the reigning division that Devin Haney is at right now. Oh yeah, it's real, and it can potentially be right now because we are now known, or we now got news that Keyshawn Davis has been elevated to the #1 contender position in, I believe, the WBO rankings, or whatever belt that Devin Haney has on his waist. Keyshawn Davis moving up has now been thrust into the #1 contender. So there was a mandatory that got made immediately. Let's say a mandatory got made today. It would be Devin Haney, Keyshawn Davis got either 30 or 60 days to make a date, or Devin Haney gets stripped and Keyshawn will become the champion because he would be the #1 contender and considered the mandatory for Devin Haney's title. Yeah. And so now we're all saying, wait a minute. We've been speculating, having a bunch of rumors, having a bunch of uncertainty when it came to what Keyshawn Davis was going to do. He had been calling out Lamont Rose. He had been calling out Tank Davis. He had been calling out Ryan Garcia. He had been calling out everybody under the sun for 135, 140. Shoot, I would even say 135 potentially. Who knows? He's been all over the place. Not planting his flag at a certain position. But now, it seems like we got ourselves an answer. And he's staying. He's moving. And he's rocking at 147, and he could get Keyshawn, we could get Keyshawn versus Shakur next on our list of, I don't want to say unironic, but very much anticipated fights that we can have potentially either this year or next year, depending on how the negotiations may go. I'm assuming it would happen this year, but is he ready? Like you say in the chat, is he ready? Is he prepared to fight against the likes of Keyshawn Davis? Or is he prepared to fight against like Devin Haney? I would say no. But he's almost. But there's still some work to be done. Now, also, before I even continue, and I'm going to explain my reasoning, we got people in the chat, like with Legendary Super saying, how you doing? Good to see you. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait a minute. There we go. How you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on our live stream and love the support. Well, we keep on leaving a like. And again, we debating Keyshawn Haney. Keyshawn versus Haney, Shakur versus Haney. We're debating the whole Russian roulette of potential fights that can happen with the news that potentially Shakur and Devin may not actually happen. There's a hold up in the talks as to why the contracts haven't officially been done in, and what exactly is the roadblock is, from the words or from the reports of Sean Zeta, which again I will play in a little bit. Devin Haney's waiting on Shakur to actually agree. Yeah, we're gonna take that fight. So, but again, we about to dive into that. The main thing is Keyshawn, Devin, if it happened now, is he ready? I would say no. And I'm not sure. Because it's not just the youth, it's not just the experience. Him beating Jermaine Ortiz was a big deal. Be clear, it was a big deal. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. It was a big deal that he beat, destroyed, and outboxed the likes of Jermaine Ortiz to get a victory at 140. No problem there. Some people say Ortiz wasn't a strong champion. Ortiz gave the likes of Teofimo Lopez all he could handle. More trouble than we ever seen him before. That is an impressive feat. Ortiz is a fighter that showed Keyshawn elevated to the level of he is still the man that we thought. Him versus Albright. Handling Albright better than the first time, going through and taking him out and destroying him and all this stuff, and then hurting him, rocking him, doing all the stuff that he needed to do. Showed that the same struggles that he had in the first fight when it was a lot closer, he's evolved, he's changed, he's grown. Great. Does not mean that he's completely ready to beat the likes of Devin Haney just yet. But he is prepared to take the fight. There's a difference. He's now garnered the attributes that, okay, you can compete with Devin Haney. And I can see that as a legitimate competitive affair. Do I think you're good enough to beat him? Not yet. Unless you evolve in that fight and turn into something incredible. And now, when put in that position, you shift into another mode of access. Great. That's perfectly fine if it happens. Right now, that's what's going to happen. Because I don't think Keyshawn is at that point yet to be able to succeed against Devin Haney in a full-on decision. It would be an upset in this situation. But from a readiness of, is he built for the moment? Does he have the tools that can get it done? Does he have the capacity to take from the elements of success that we've seen other fighters have and turn it into his own success in that fight? Yes, he does. It's all about the maturation of the mind when it comes to Keyshawn Davis. And because of that, he can take the fight. He does want to fight. He's eager to take the fight. Mike, I've been saying I would love to see this fight if it does happen. And if it happens next, so be it. It's just going to be my confidence in him getting the win outright. It's not going to be as much there as if he maybe took one more fight against a even more game opponent at 147, and then we get to see what he can do. That would be me. Again, that's me. Because I would love to have at least a good groundwork of an opponent to kind of scale my knowledge of what I think Keyshawn can do. Because right now, all of Keyshawn's ability for what he can do against Devin Haney is based on the potential. And yeah, you can say, oh, for any fighter, oh, it's a prediction. Oh, it's a potential. Well, you also got to understand, the potential for the likes of Keyshawn Davis is he should be better than Brian Norman Jr. He gets comparisons to Bud all the time. He's got a good jab and great strength. He can fight for real. He can go into the doghouse. He's got all these different elements of skill sets that he can go into if need be. We see the comparisons. We understand the ability. And we think that of the last opponent that we saw Devin Haney go out against, we can see Keyshawn can be better than him. Yes. But is that still going to be enough to beat the likes of Devin Haney if they do fight at 147? Let alone because of the fact this is a big weight division. And now with the Devin Haney that can swat, brings up a whole new element of concern, hypothetically, that Keyshawn Davis may be, as good as he is, taking a step into a deep end that he may say that he's built for, but it could be concerning. Again, the potential shows he is ready to have this fight. But the likelihood that he can win right now, in my eyes, is still low. Because, similar to what, in fact, Shakur Foster pointed this out in a great point in regards to Keyshawn Davis and O'Shaquie Foster, or Keyshawn Davis and Devin Haney, how that fight would go. He said it best, in my opinion, as to what would be the biggest concern for Keyshawn in this fight. And I'm about to play the clip right now. But also, Super Saiyan, I forgot to read one of your chats. Give me 1 second. Hopefully the walls close in once and for all these young 140, 147-pound dudes start fighting each other. And it looks like it's getting ready to. Be clear. It looks like it's getting ready to. Which is good. And again, we're going to touch on that specific instance of 140 and 147. Everybody's starting to really shuffle in the board of hierarchy. We think we better have a conversation about this. So trust me, we're going to touch back in on this. But real quick, let me play this clip with O'Shaquie Foster before I continue and give you the similar, or the semblance of similar thought process as to what I see this fight being like with Keyshawn and Devin Haney at this point in time. Need to make sure everything's all well and good. All right, there we go.
Haney and Keyshawn Davis for the WBO strap. Obviously, Keyshawn moving up to 47, wants to take on Davis. Debo wants to take on Devin Haney, aka Debo. What do you think about a Keyshawn Davis and Devin Haney matchup if that were to come to fruition?
I think that's a great fight. I think that's a great fight for boxing. Kind of like what me and Ray was.
Great build up too. That'd be a crazy build up.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great fight for boxing, and I think Devin Haney wins that. I think I think he's a little too smart right now for Keyshawn. I think he needs a little bit more experience. And that just come off of me watching him with Albright even the second time. I think Devin Haney can make it boring and make it a simple night for himself. But I definitely think Devin Haney will beat him.
So when you say that there's levels to this, truly you can see the difference between fighters just at the eye test and just say that so you see things in Keyshawn that you clearly know that Devin can take advantage of at this point.
Yes, right now, because he's not that experienced yet. And definitely, like, some of the stuff that Albright was getting away with and certain things, I feel like Devin will make it boring and keep doing that same thing. Devin, he'll stick to the same program all 12 rounds. So, yeah, I think right now, I think that it's too early for Keyshawn. I think Devin will beat him.
So, as you can see, similar to how I feel, it's the biggest thing is the boring aspect. That's what I want to touch on. But before I continue, let me read your chats real quick so I can keep on talking to you all. Again, be clear, it's still the championship rounds on the whole of this show on Friday. And also, a quick disclaimer. I apologize. I was not feeling up to snuff to be able to go through it, actually do a live on Thursday. My apologies. I should have let off with that on the show. But my apologies. I had to go do some self-care for myself. Because it was bad. I couldn't get it. I was not in position to go and be able to do the show like I wanted to. And I wanted to make sure I give you all the best stuff possible for my own performance. So that takes some time. But I'm back. I'm here. We good. But I just wanted to apologize for missing the show on Thursday. Now we're here, making up for time and doing what we do best on the show, giving you the best entertainment absolutely as much as possible. But again, before I continue with my point about the boredom, let me read your chats real quick on the thing. And now we got the thing working finally. Let me see. Peel out. Do you think Keyshawn could beat Ryan Garcia right now? That fight would be a lot closer. But that, do I think he could beat Ryan Garcia right now? That's a good question. In all honesty, shoot. I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm leaning no. I'm leaning no. In my honestly for this, and this is a really good question. Mind you, this is a really good question. I would see it threw me off for a second. I hadn't even thought of that matchup really because of all the position or in depth because the whole Devin Haney thing was most in the forefront of my mind. Keyshawn Davis would have a that shoot. Yeah, I might say no. Right now, I might say no. That's a hard. I might say no, and it's only because that style. It's going to be two people coming at each other. Devin Haney. It's going to sound crazy. Keyshawn Davis got a better chance of beating Ryan Garcia than he does at beating Devin Haney. Because stylistically, the whole thing, and again, it goes back to the point. The boredom, the one-track mind of Devin Haney. By that I mean, he's not ducking from the gameplay. He's not leaving what he knows how to do. He's not changing his game for anything or anybody when it comes to fighting in boxing. He is going to make this a one-track affair. I'm going to jab you. I'm going to get out the way. I'm going to make sure that you can't touch me. Straight up. But unlike with Shakur, he's going to keep himself. There's going to be no in the pocket. It's jab, and I'm using the maximum of my length. When we see Keyshawn face that, I don't know how he would get around that except for making it a physical affair, which absolutely can work. But it's going to be difficult. And can he keep his cool, slowly trying to weed through the cracks, the small cracks of Devin Haney to make his success possible and not fall into the trap that we saw with Brian Norman Jr., where you're in a repetitive loop over and over and over again. Jab, hit, now you reset, jab, hit, clinch, reset again, jab, hit, clinch, reset again, and you get in that hole too far down. Now, because I think he's better than Brian Norman Jr., I think he won't run into that loop of endless, unsuccessful ability. And he'll be able to go and close that gap and do a better job of being able to fight Devin Haney when he gets close. Yeah. So he's got a chance. But with Ryan, it's a little bit different. Because with Ryan Garcia, it ain't going to be no defensive stuff. It's going to be the fight that Keyshawn wants. But it's going to be against somebody that is potentially able to fight in that manner of physicality, dominance, power, speed, in a better way than him. And Keyshawn may not be able just to go and box outright against the likes of Ryan Garcia, this version of Ryan Garcia, if he does get in trouble. Because of the fact that in so many physical and powerful dynamics of this fight, he may be outmatched. For Devin Haney, that physicality can be the thing. It needs to be the thing that can make that fight turn into his favor. But for Ryan Garcia, that can be the thing. With this current version of Ryan, it's going to be hard to all of a sudden say, okay, this brother wants to change. He wants to exchange with me. He wants to try to trade with me. I got quick hands. I know what I can do. I know what I can land. And all of a sudden, boom, you keep getting tagged. I'm losing these exchanges. Oh, Shock brought up some of the things that we saw with Albright being able to land on Keyshawn and get some real stuff off of him. That's Ryan Garcia in that situation. Even though yes, he won that fight, those same hoes are going to be a lot more dangerous when it comes to fighting against Ryan Garcia. That he will get hurt. It ain't going to be no he's eating shots and he ain't going to have no. He will get hurt. He will. And it can be, he can't adjust. I can see him adjusting or trying to adjust to Devin Haney. I don't know how. It's going to be hard for me to see him as the smaller fighter coming up, being able to adjust to what the physical makeup of Ryan is. And again, that hand speed is something, it covers an abundance of woes. It covers an abundance of sins. That hand speed of Ryan Garcia, it catches everybody off guard. I've yet to see somebody be able to be prepared for it. Tank had to do some real calculating before he was able to go and land some of his shots. They ultimately ended the night. Rolly had to be wary up until he got the knockdown. Again, Ryan had a broken hand, but regardless of which, he had to be wary for a little bit. Because that speed, he had to calculate. And then, boom, after the success, okay, boom, now we can fight like we need to. But it's a daunting task when you see it immediately come out in front of you. So that'd be tough. Because also, that dogged nature of Keyshawn could be used against him in that fight with Ryan Garcia, because now you get caught. Oh, you want to get your get back, because we know that is Keyshawn. He can fight, he can box, and all that stuff, but he's looking to hurt. He's looking to, again, we talked about the temperament of Ford. The same thing can happen with the likes of Keyshawn Davis. That temperament, that attitude, not in a negative way, but that attitude is something that he uses in his favor to fuel his ability to want to get stuff done. Yeah. That's why he's a killer. That's why he goes through. He's able to be a very dangerous puncher. But that can also be used if you go against Ryan Garcia. Overzealous, potentially over-aggressive. And I'm so quick, I can go in, hook with you, uppercut against you, jab you to set you up with something before you can react. And I'm longer. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. I think he's got a better shot at beating Devin Haney than Ryan Garcia, even though with Devin Haney trying to outthink him, or more so trying to put yourself in a position where you're always in the range when he's at the ropes to not smother your punches and be able to actually land some stuff. It's going to be difficult. Oh, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a daunting task. But the dangerous side of you're getting somebody in Ryan Garcia, he'll fight your fight or in the way that you like to fight. Well, y'all are trading, y'all are throwing, you're both trying to not get away, but you're trying to attack each other. And you can be worse for wear. Because you think you know what you get into, and then you find out this is a different game. It's going to be difficult. It's gonna be really difficult for me to see that happen. But again, let me not ramble. Let me keep on continuing to read your thoughts and opinions. It's always the Americans that start acting like weenies when it's time to fight someone elite. And like I again, the whole Devin Haney Shakur situation, because I believe that's what it's referring to. Sean Zito had a whole update on that, and right after I read your chats, I'm about to play that clip to tell you exactly why the title of this video and the whole topic of discussion of the $100 million deals and the fights with Zuffa and all that stuff, why that seemingly hasn't been fully done just yet. It's because somebody's holding out for some reason. And Sean Zito is going to want to tell you that absolutely. Let me see. Styles make fights? Absolutely. Yep, Styles do make fights. I am Haney beating Keyshawn by unanimous decision. Skills will pay the bills, in my opinion. Keyshawn versus Davis would be such a chaotic fight. I mean, I would love to see that happen if Tank moved up to 140, like he's been rumored to potentially. He's going to move up to 140. Great. Cool. That would be phenomenal. That fight would make all the sense in the world. That fight would make all the sense in the world if that happened. And I would love the chaos as well as the potential better offensive firepower that we could see from Keyshawn Davis that was able to be, even from somebody like Lamont Welch, who again is a good fighter. Be clear, good fighter. Should have beat Tank. Keyshawn's better offensively than him. I would love to see what that would have looked like if they squared off against each other, especially with Keyshawn Davis having the height advantage and the physicals that would make him very dangerous. Very dangerous. I would love to see that fight so much. It's just a matter of will it or won't it happen. And it's looking like it might not happen, but unless something changes and shifts and says otherwise. But again, only time will tell. But yeah, that would be an incredible fight. More than chaotic. That would just be flat out great. That would just be a flat out phenomenal fight. Let me see. Keyshawn versus Davis. Will be a chaotic fight. In terms of fouls, WWE tackles, and holding, I think it'll be more of a knockdown, drag out brawl than people may think. Because it will be interesting to see if Keyshawn can do the same thing Lamar Welch did and force Tank to have to go, okay, hey, we got to knock you out. Just like every other game plan. Later rounds, we got to knock you out. But if Keyshawn's able to keep it close and potentially be up with better physical range to be able to keep Tank at bay with, that'd be pretty interesting to see what he'd be able to do. Let me see. Mark Quavers, what's going on with you? How you doing? Good to see you. Welcome back to the show. We appreciate you on our live, and you're hoping that you're enjoying the show. Also, please, if you haven't already, leave a like on the stream. One like makes a world of difference to help us go and grow this show one stream, one video at a time. Tell everybody that you know about what we got going on. Hey, if you want to support the channel, like we said before, Cash App, PayPal, or super chats and super gifts, stickers and a like if you can support the show. But let me see what you got to say. Would you be considered about Ryan using PEDs again, facing somebody that dangerous? I don't think we would have to worry about Ryan facing or using PEDs again, due to the fact that with all the turmoil that happened recently, and with the success that he just had right now, with Mario Barrios, clean, mind you, clean, looked eerily similar to what we saw when he fought Devin Haney. But he was clean this time against the Barrios. From the standpoint of dominance, the ability to use his jab, the left hooks and offense I was using and working, all that stuff. Yes, Barrios is not nearly as good as the likes of, Devin Haney, but you get what I'm saying. We are in a position that we shouldn't need to worry. Shouldn't. Emphasis on shouldn't. Also, real quick, let me change my camera. My camera's looking a little bit lopsided. Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, just a little bit. Okay, yeah, that's straighter. That's straighter. But in terms of needing drugs, I don't think we should have to worry about it. Also, with him being a champion in the position that he's in right now, with all the hate that he got back then, I don't think he wants to lose that position again. Of, okay, I'm back in the limelight. Let me not do something to ruin it next time. Because look, boxing, it can be a fickle sport. And even the biggest of stars, after a certain point, you do something that is deemed unforgivable. No matter how big of a star you may be, we're done with you. A lot of momentum gets lost because of that. So I don't think we should have to worry about him using PEDs anymore. Again, hopefully, prayerfully, we won't have to worry. But again, only time will tell, because the person's the person. We covered that whole drama with the PED stuff when it happened for like months and months and months on end. So I've said everything I need to say on that. I just hope right now, moving forward, no matter who the opponent is, we don't got to worry about it. And prayerfully, if we don't, everything just be clean. Let me see. Do you think Ryan and Devin would play out differently or any different with the PEDs? At this point in time, if the fight's clean, if we're discussing the next time, well, let me backtrack. The first time we saw the fight, I said that Ryan Garcia could win doing the exact thing that he did to get that win in the fight. I said I picked Devin Haney to win because I said he was a better boxer. But I said if we can see Ryan Garcia make Devin Haney physically inadequate in this fight, make it so that you take away the length and the size and the physical attributes that make Devin Haney so hard to beat, you've won half the battle. And you're able to, you can handle what else he's able to do. If you can physically control him. He did that. He won the fight. So it went like I was going to go, assuming the fight was clean. If we saw that fight again, the fight might go just the same way again. I'm not out I'm not out of my mind to say that the fight might go the same way again if we saw Devin Haney and Ryan fight against each other without PEDs. With PEDs, yeah, oh yeah, it definitely looks the same way. Without the clean, it could still look the exact same situation because the same problems that Ryan Garcia brings up without PEDs are still the same problems that Devin Haney struggles with. Being able to not win the clinch game. Being able to, your speed is not enough with your jab to land. When you need to go and do some damage, Ryan was actually able to take the shots. You landed clean on Ryan, and he took the shot well. He admitted you got some power, and yet still he walked forward. The only thing that made that fight even more that could have made that fight even more dominant was if Ryan Garcia didn't run out of stamina. And now he's got better stamina. He didn't even train for that fight. In terms of like physically, he missed weight. But in shape at 147, where he definitely doesn't have to drain himself, oh yeah, stamina's gonna be not an issue at all. It's like active offense with Barrios, active punching with Barrios. Again, different opponent. We're talking about the volume was even more up than what we saw with like Devin Haney in that fight because he took rounds off in the fight with Devin Haney. He didn't take rounds off against Barrios, and he was able to keep that output up for all the fight. So we ain't got to worry about that. So it's going to be, if they fought again, another dangerous situation where Ryan Garcia would potentially struggle, or excuse me, where Devin Haney would potentially struggle. Why? All because we're seeing Ryan Garcia bring the same problems, but now with healthy hands and hopefully a lifestyle that is actually worthwhile. Hopefully. But again, we'll have to wait and see. But that's how I think the fight will go. Let me see. Shakur sending another butt out to handle his battles again. And with the whole, in fact, this is actually a perfect thing to make the clip. Let me see. Dang, I was actually meant to type Keyshawn versus Ryan Garcia. What? It's all right. It's all good. I think we did answer that question. No, we didn't answer that question. I'll answer this afterwards. I'll answer this after that, but after I play this clip, I don't want to hold y'all up with this clip of Sean Zito as well. Let me see. Same thing happened with Lewis Neary versus Yamanaka. In both fights, where Lewis tested positive and then missed weight in the rematch. Yeah, mind you, I don't want Ryan Garcia missing weight. I don't want any potential struggles happening. Please, Lord knows we don't need that circus again. We will love a clean ending to this fight. I'll take a draw in a close fight, and we get a trilogy from that over anything else. We just don't want the drama. Lord, we don't want the drama again. Let me see. Ryan could very much so have Haney's number, but Haney has been looking better at the weight his last two fights. Yes, he has. Yes, he has. Well, excuse me. The Jose Ramirez fight aside, because that fight did not look good. But the Brian Norman fight, yes, he did look good for the first 6 rounds of the fight. That was the Devin Haney that we knew, that we expected, that we hoped would show up in any given situation. Because that's a Devin Haney that is indeed a top 10 pound for pound level fighter. That's a Devin Haney that is an actual top 10 level talent that has the capacity to take on the globe. That's at least closer to the prime version of a Devin Haney that we've known could outbox anybody, but also do some real damage. So I'm not saying he's a knockout artist, but I'm saying he could do that type of Haney is something that we want to see all the time. And so, yeah, he has looked better. But the thing is, so is Ryan Garcia. That's the problem. Not the problem. That is the best part about this. And again, we'll jump back into this. But the last thing I'll say for now, both fighters have elevated themselves up to the point that they are potentially seen as close to or maybe even better than we had seen in the past of their career. Devin Haney looked as good as he'd ever looked. Again, for the first 6 rounds, going up against Brian Norman Jr. Ryan Garcia looked the best he had looked potentially in his entire career. Better than he did against Campbell. Better than he did against Duarte. better than he did against anybody. Anybody. Just about. This was not just the crowning moment for him winning a title, but the most emphatic version of Ryan Garcia that we had seen up until this point, outside of that fight with Devin Haney. Unless I'm missing a performance. Yeah, he's had knockouts. Yes, he's had dominant wins. I'm talking about from a top to bottom level. This is the best he's looked with no controversy. So these are different fighters. They think differently. They move differently. They have physically grown. And they have mentally added stuff to their game. Ryan Garcia's added stuff to his game. Working with David Benavidez now. Devin Haney's added stuff to his game with James Toney. This rematch should be better than the last one. Be clear. And again, be clear about this. Be clear about this when it comes to Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. Understand this about Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. This fight should be better than the first fight. The rematch with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney should be better than the first fight. League's better. Because it should be more competitive. Because both people are working on the stuff that either was messing them up or to be a counter for the other opposition. Devin Haney working with James Toney to learn how to fight in the pocket, sit down on his punches a lot more, and to plant his feet to do some real damage. Great. Perfect. Ryan Garcia upping his own inside game to further not just make himself a better fighter in the trenches, but to also make it so that when he does fight Devin Haney, he's able to exploit the biggest weakness of Devin Haney, which is you can take away his physicality if you are Ryan Garcia specifically. Both of them are working on counters against each other, consciously or subconsciously, to make themselves built to fight each other. This is going to be better than the first fight, most likely by far. Most likely by far. That's why I want to see it so bad. Because they both bring so much drama. They both bring so much animosity. They both have so much history. And both of them have the capacity to go and shock the other in a way that the other fighter had never seen before. I'm serious. Ryan can bring stuff to this game that makes David Haney say, oh my gosh, what the world? David Haney can bring stuff to his game that can make Ryan Garcia be like, I gotta back up. I didn't think this man could punch like this in this way at this range. I didn't think I was not familiar with your game. To quote Shaq, I wasn't familiar with your game. I didn't know you had this in your back pocket. Both of them could be saying that to each other. That's why this fight is going to be so incredible. That's why it needs to happen more before anything else. That's why it needs to happen before anything else. Because this fight is not just the fight to make, but this is going to be the crescendo of all of the changes that they've made since their fateful night against each other. Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia won. It's more than a story. This is a benchmark for what type of fighter they are. That's why I need to see it now. Now. I gotta see it now because it's gonna be so spectacular. It's gonna be better than the first time. It's gonna be better than the first fight. I promise you. Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney will be better than that first fight because they're building to make it better. Not just with talk. Their skills are changing above what they were. They're evolving above what they were when they fought the first time. And it's gonna be oh so good. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be phenomenal. My gosh, I can't wait to see it. But let me, hold on. Before we continue, and again, Marquavius, I see you. Give me 1 second. Let me play this clip of Sean Zito because this also goes into the other aspects of Devin Haney, Keyshawn Davis, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, more so Ryan Garcia, Shakur Stevenson, which is the fight that all of this is kind of coming off of because we were expected to hear this announcement earlier this month, if not late last month, but it wasn't happening. But now, Sean Zito's got an update on why that fight potentially isn't going down. I'm gonna play the whole thing so you can see, so you can hear specifically what exactly is being said and you can get the full scope of the situation. But per Sean Zito himself, there's a reason why you haven't seen this announcement of those two fighting against each other. And he's going to tell you why right here on his personal podcast and on right here, the Welch Report, as we play this clip.
Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson being linked to Zuffa. So I'll share some intel I got yesterday coming out of Raiders OTAs. I'm covering Raiders OTAs. They had their final day of media availability for OTAs. And something comes across my way. I get on the phone, and I get some intel and info from pretty reliable sources. But again, I wanted to get more intel from all around the way, but I'll get to that in a minute. So what was told to me is that Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson have ironclad signed with Zuffa. That announcement is imminent, could be as early as next week. This is what I was told. And I was also told that Zuffa, the fight they want upon signing both of them, is them fighting each other. And I believe Mike Coppinger reported as much about a month ago. Well, the same was told to me yesterday. And what else I was told was the Haneys want the fight, Zuffa wants the fight. The holdup is Shakur Stevenson. And so then what happened a couple days ago was Keyshawn Davis became the mandatory for Devin Haney's welterweight WBO title. Now, it was told to me that this was brought about by James Prince. Top Rank has always had a good relationship with the WBO, as people know. And he put Keyshawn in. He petitioned to the WBO to get Keyshawn put as Devin Haney's mandatory as a way to throw off this Shakur Stevenson fight. And the fight that the Haneys want first and foremost is Shakur Stevenson. But they're apparently still willing to, quote, whoop Keyshawn Davis's ass. But we also saw yesterday on Gillian Wallow, Bill Haney and Keyshawn Davis had FaceTime, and Bill's saying, well, we want the 2-for-1 deal. But, kind of saying we're only going to sign the contract if we also get Shakur Stevenson guaranteed as part of this kind of package deal. And I, kept asking, well, what happens if Shakur Stevenson decides to say, I'm going to fight as a lightweight or fight at 140 pounds, even though I don't know if Zuffa's going to do super and junior weight classes. And kind of didn't, all I heard was apparently Team Haney is still willing to do the Keyshawn fight, but you also, again, saw on Gillian Wallow what was happening. I reached out to multiple members of Team Shakur Stevenson, tried to get word on it, reached out to people from Team Keyshawn Davis. What I did get from the Keyshawn Davis side is, look, I don't know, we don't know anything about all of that, about the politics of it all. All we know is we want to fight Devin Haney. So that's what I heard from Keyshawn. Try to reach out to multiple people from Shakur. I want to get Shakur's side because I have this intel, Shakur's been denying media reports for the last several weeks. So I would love to hear what Shakur Stevenson or James Prince or anybody from his team has to say that would off-put what I'm hearing from sources. But that is where we're at. That from what I've heard.
Okay.
Zuffa and Haney want Shakur.
So, that was a lot. Now, mind you, I played the whole clip just so you can see exactly what's going on. All right, like I said, we try to give full context on this show so people understand exactly what's going on and everything that's going down. So nobody is seen as we're not giving the up and up on the information. Like I said, we're professionals out here. But that's a lot to really think about. It is. So let's try to break it down, shall we? Let's try to do some work to kind of decipher through all this. So, when it comes to Shakur versus Devin Haney, the biggest things that were said in that situation. Number one, Devin Haney, and in fact, we might just, we might just have to do a little bit of effects. Might, if it's applicable, we might do some voice effects. But I digress. The biggest thing, Devin Haney and Bill Haney want the fight with Shakur. That's number one. Before anybody says anything else, echo it to the masses. Devin Haney wants Shakur. That's number one. Number two, when it comes to why Keyshawn is the number one contender, Jay French, who'll believe his manager, I think good friends with Shakur and Keyshawn and that whole a syndicate, not in a negative way, but petition to put Keyshawn in the number one contender spot, per reporting of Sean Zedel, to kind of muddy up the situations to get this fight with Devin Haney and Shakur as immediately, which potentially, per Sean Zedel, is in part why we see Keyshawn as the number one contender right now coming up from 140. Again, we want to see the fight if it happens, but that's potentially, allegedly, by Sean Zedel, why it's occurring. That's number two. Number three, Shakur has been vehemently denying all allegations that he signed something with Zuffa. That's point number three for everybody, even with Shakur's team. Because Shakur's team, per Sean Zedel, said they just want to fight. We don't know the business stuff. We don't know all the politics and money. We just want to fight. Now, that third point, a little bit controversial. Why? Because we've seen them on the business end of stuff before. That has not been uncommon. We know them as fighters, and we've known them as a team. They know what they're worth. They know what they bring to the table. That is not something that is a out-of-pocket situation. They are not unaware, and they've been hands-on with business before. A little bit sketchy why they say that for point number one for the third position of the whole video. They're not getting into the business of stuff. They do know the business of stuff. That's number one. Number two, Eddie Hearn also already said, yeah, Shakur is signing with Zuffa to fight Devin Haney. He confirmed that publicly. Now, he would not knowing him. You can say what you want about that, but he's one of the more poignant voices in the world of boxing when it comes to fighting and doing contracts and stuff, because it affects his bottom line. He wouldn't have outly admitted, yeah, he's going over there if he wasn't going over there. That's number two. So again, even your own competitors or the people that are amongst your regime of they would love to have you sign with them or they would love to have you do business with them are saying publicly, yeah, he's going over there. So again, not getting into business and stuff, other people apparently are saying, corroborated sources, yeah, he's doing it. There's a lot of things right now that have me a little bit concerned when it comes to this whole Shakur situation. And again, the biggest thing that seems to be the case is that it looks like Shakur doesn't want to fight Devin Haney. We're trying to not throw around the word duck often. Mind you, we're trying to be more judicial with that word. We're trying to be more deliberate with that word. Everybody isn't everything in the duck all the time because there is a legitimate problem when it comes to the business and psychology of the behind the sports world of boxing. Yeah, it's a problem. It's corrupt. A bunch of different things. A fighter isn't always at fault for why a fight doesn't happen. We understand that. However, in this situation, as just some eyebrows are being raised, hey, I'm not gonna lie. Everybody needs to pay attention because it's looking mighty sketchy. It's looking mighty sketchy right now. I'm not gonna lie. It's looking mighty sketchy in a way that I'm a little bit concerned about. I can't even front. I can't front. It's somebody's lying. That's the biggest thing. Somebody ain't telling the truth. Even Bill Haney, who we've all said has been a little bit untrustworthy, even with him, he's at least been keeping the same story or the same synopsis of, yeah, we got stuff going down. Even if he's keeping it under wraps, he's essentially pointing to, yeah, we ain't gonna say nothing, but we definitely got some stuff going. Everything y'all saying ain't wrong. We just can't say it all right now. That's what it's looking like. And the third thing, amongst all of this, even if the Shakur fight does not happen, because mind you, like we heard with Sean Zedel, again, for breaking it down for people that don't know, Like we heard with Sean Zito, Shakur, Devin, that's the fight that they want to even sign fully on the line for Zuffa. The deal's lined up for them, if this report is true. They want Shakur over everything else. They'll fight Keyshawn Davis as well under Zuffa. They have no problem with it. But if they can, at best, they will love it a 2-for-1 deal, like we heard Bill Haney say. Or Sean Zito quoting Bill Haney. We want Shakur and Devin Haney. Or excuse me, we want Shakur and Keyshawn, but we better get Shakur for this fight. And you got to make sure we get him. We are willing, if this falls through, to still fight Keyshawn regardless. That's the biggest, that's the most interesting thing. Even if this fight does not happen, we're still willing to go and take on Keyshawn Davis without any more struggle or issue, if that's the best thing that we can get. And again, that lives up to the same moniker that we've seen when it comes to Keyshawn Davis and Shakur, or when it comes to Devin Haney and Bill Haney. We can talk about the drama, we can talk about the noise, we can talk about all the stuff about them as fighters, and as some people say they're annoying, some people say that they're boring. They don't duck. Like we've said consistently, they don't duck smoke. They don't. We can say that. They don't duck smoke. They don't duck smoke at all. They keep on trying to push the envelope. And yeah, I can hang my hat on that if they do say that they're going to stick by and fight at 140. Or stick by at 147 and they'll fight Keyshawn Davis or whoever else they're bringing up. They'll go after it if it's the best thing that's out there. There's been a lot I've said about Devin and Bill, but I ain't never questioned that. So it looks like, and tell me if I'm wrong, but it looks like it seems the holdup is Shakur more than anything else, because Shakur is yet to be the one to come fully through and say, yeah, we're getting it done. So and this would be the best fight he could have. This would be the biggest opportunity he could have. He says he wants to go back down to 135, but he still hasn't done it yet. He's got fights at 140, but he still hasn't done that yet. He could be unified right now, but he hasn't done that yet. Everybody else around him, crazy enough, either has a fight lined up, is in negotiations, or is actively fighting. And he hasn't yet. We got to start asking some questions, at least, about Shakur, saying, hey, brother, what's going on here? Because we're not trying to call you a liar. But we're also saying the way everybody else is moving, and you specifically in this instance, it's looking a little controversial, is I think the best way to say it. A little bit controversial. But let me go again. Before I continue, let me keep on reading you all's thoughts and opinions. I don't think, excuse me, I'm sorry, Wise Man, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on our live stream. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening, and hopefully you're enjoying our show on today. I don't think we're getting Keyshawn or Devin versus Shakur, or Devin versus Ryan Garcia, or Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn. So hold on. So you think we're not getting nothing? Straight up. Now we're talking all these fights are just hearsay and invalid talk, and it's all gonna blow up in our faces that, oh my gosh, we ran around the world of the boxing rumor mill for nothing because nothing transpired. Good. I hope that's not the case. I hope we're not wasting our time. I hope not.
We got some problems here.
Lord knows I hope we don't have that. I could not take that type of environment. Oh no, that'd be hard. That would be terrible. That would be so bad. That would be so disgusting. If we had that would be preposterous in ways that I can only find sadly ironic. And mind you, we don't try to buy into rumors or buy into all that stuff. If it starts getting corroborated for real, we start looking at it. Mind you, before we even came on here, months ago, Matt Borgeson, a great supporter and viewer on the channel, came in here and was saying, hey, roughly 3 months ago, before any of these talks actually came up, Devin, Shakur, they gonna have stuff happen. and it's gonna be under Zuffa. And we thought it was skeptical. Now all of a sudden it's the not just the hottest topic. Everybody's looking and saying, well, shoot. Is it or is it not gonna happen? Because now everybody's starting to believe it. We don't want these things to fall by the wayside. Be clear. It's just the reasoning of Shakur. Is it because of the weight? Is it because of like I think somebody said up here, also, like with Johnny Blaze. Also, Johnny Blaze, if I didn't say hi already, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on the show. Like what Johnny Blaze said, they going to argue about 147 or 144 till they die. Both want the advantage. Yeah. Devin Haney's the champion at 147. Shakur has never fought at 147. He might be willing to do a catch weight. I think he said he might be willing to do a catch weight. But, I mean, does he really want to push the envelope like that to go up there? Could he survive? Sure. Is he big enough for it? Absolutely. Is this fight a situation where he would be outmatched egregiously? No. Especially in a top-heavy division like 147 with, again, Brian Oman Jr., Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, now Keyshawn Davis, and Shakur. He'll be one of the 5 best. He'll probably be the second best fighter up there, if not the best pure boxer out there outright, because I think he's better than Devin Haney as a boxer. I think he's better than Devin Haney as a boxer. He's better than him, in my opinion, and I don't think physically he would be outmatched at all because of how big he is as a fighter. Lomachenko said it about him. Ryan Garcia said it about him. Every opponent that he's fought has said it about him. This brother is a big dude. This is not just some pot-shotting defensive fighter. This man belongs. He could fight at 160 easily. He could fight at potentially move. If he really wanted to, he could bump himself up to 168. This man is huge. At least if the limit is 154, so be it. He could get up there. He's that much of a size mismatch for most boxers. He was bigger than Teofimo Lopez and faster than him. And Teo's a physical freak of nature. And we know Teo we expect Teo to be able to go and still survive comfortably at 147 with him moving up. This would not be an uber physical undertaking for the likes of Shakur Stevenson with how he's built. At least to me. But it sounds like it's him. It does. And it's going to be really pressing if you got Shakur wants to fight you at 140. He said he'll move up to your division. You want to go back down to 135 to fight Murataya, but I've yet to see any talks come through because Murataya sent a contract to you and you haven't done nothing yet. So I'm still a little bit confused, still a little bit concerned, still where are those talks that were supposed to be happening if you still wanted to be a champion at the weight class that you wanted to go back to. You could have already started. You could have already said, hey, we're not worried about that right now. I'm going back down to 135 because I'm sticking with what I said I wanted to do initially. We're not trying to draw blame, but we're drawing parallels of potential contention. We're drawing some concern because of what we've been previously seen from you. And also the stories that we've, not stories, but also the timeline of what you've said, your team said, and what we're seeing now. Stuff is starting to go a little bit awry. It's not all sunshine and roses right now when looking at you being able to change, well, not change, but to elevate yourself to keep on winning against dominant fighters. Like I said, I'm not calling him a duck, not right now. But because there's a lot of uncertainty. But in that uncertainty, there's being a picture painted. It has us all being a little bit more confused than we were like on the side of Keyshawn, of Shakur Stevenson in this regard. Let me see. Welch Tank, Vaughn Greenhill, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on our live stream today. We love that you're here on the show. Hopefully you're enjoying everything that we got going on. And hopefully you'll want to keep on sticking around as we continue to flourish and grow on the or in the world of boxing and beyond. Let me read what you had to say really quickly. Which Tank was still in the mix, but unfortunately he's still at 135 and won't stay out of trouble. Like I said, we can't talk about him because there's nothing to talk about until he actually does something. Everything else is just hearsay. And we were with the divisions right now. We would love to see him in the mix, but sadly he did this to himself, and it just ain't happening. We are certainly getting Ryan versus Ben. I would hope so. That's the one fight. Well, I don't even know. That might be in jeopardy. Ryan Garcia has been saying it. Ryan Garcia's been perpetuating. Yeah, that's the fight that's going to happen next. That's what's going to be going down. But even
Devin
with
Haney
that,
and Shakur Stevenson.
there has been a concern because even Conor Ben has been saying, like, what's going to happen? Where you at? Conor Ben himself has been saying, like, hey, you're talking a whole lot of talk, but you haven't even signed the deal with us. So, no, what's happening? Again, per Conor Ben and his team. So I'm not trying to be somebody that's like, oh, stuff ain't gonna shake, but it's everything right now. We got so many talks, and honestly, that's the most frustrating thing. That's the most frustrating. We got so many talks about what can and can't happen, instead of stuff actually happening, coming off the backs of so many fights that we wanted to see happen, finally actually happening. We're all at a loss for words, saying, well, the momentum of this train that was turning into a rolling thunder of entertainment had just suddenly screeched to a halt. It's just legit. It's just stopped. Like full stop. It's just full stop. Without any recourse, without any potential position, it just stopped outright. And it's got us all saying, like, what happened? It's got us all saying what happened. It doesn't make any sense. To me, it doesn't make any sense at all. But sadly, that's where we at. Let me see. If people are ranking a number 2 or number 3 pound for pound going up another weight class shouldn't be a lot to ask. That's how you really prove where you belong. And I mean, like I hear you. I do. I understand. And this is why we're frustrated, because it looks like, again, Sean Zito saying that Jay Prince advocated for Keyshawn to move to number 1 to try to potentially put a roadblock in this fight actually happening. Again, Sean Zito's words, not mine. This is one of the most reliable reporters in boxing. You may not trust a lot of people. I would advise you to trust him, because he's the one person that I can actually hang my hat on. The integrity of journalism still lives within him and his production as a legitimate news source, which I applaud and appreciate. But him saying this, at least gives me some level of concern that let me rephrase it. It makes me ask some questions. I'll say that. It makes me ask questions, because I don't want to be a guy that just jumps to conclusions. But now that stuff is coming out, we're not trying to overjump the gun. But we also have to say, this is all we have to go off of. And we got to look back at what's happened in the past, compare it to what's being said, to try to dictate what's been going on. So that's that. With that being the case, we got to watch how Shakur moves throughout this whole situation very carefully. Very carefully. Because Shakur, if he doesn't take the fight with the likes of Haney, and Haney moves on, all that stuff, talks fall out, and then Keyshawn Davis is locked up, from the standpoint of he potentially gets a fight with Devin Haney or somebody else, Shakur, if he doesn't go after a title at 135 or doesn't fight somebody at 140 outright, it's going to be like, oh man, what's happening? You didn't fight the biggest fight of your career with the most money that you would have ever made as potentially the quote unquote A side in discussions due to you being so high on the pound for pound and everybody, especially at that Teal fight, knowing who you are in a way that has put you on a pedestal against everybody else. Why would you not take that? Unless it was you may have been afraid to lose. That's what some people are going to start to come to conclusions with, because it's a lot of uncertainty that has people asking, why would this fight that seems the most logical, that seems like a thing that would fall in line with the very way Shakur thinks of wanting to prove he's the best, wanting to go and show up and show out, wanting to go and prove not just doubters wrong, but submit himself as, I'm as good as I said I was. This the very route that we would see the likes of Terrence Crawford do, that you idolize so much, justifiably so, that you respect so much, justifiably so, that you follow in the footsteps of, justifiably so. This would make all the sense in the world, and with all of those cards on the table. Yet we're not seeing it. It just has me asking stuff. It just has me a little bit confused. It's why? When everything looks like this would be the most make sense type of fight. And you said you wanted big fights immediately. Afterwards. At least to me. But let me see. Sean is so unreliable. Oh my. Wait a minute. Especially with the crazy narrative that he's spinning about Beterbiev ducking Benavidez. LOL. Whoa. Now I know he said I didn't know he said that. I did not know he said that. I did not. I might have to look into that after the show. I didn't know he said that. I don't think Beterbiev's ducking Benavidez. I don't think. Hold on. Wait a second. Hold on. Didn't Beterbiev? If I got my stuff right, didn't Beterbiev just go through a couple of days ago and call out the likes of Benavidez outright? Yeah, this was yesterday. Hold on. Wait a second. No. I think he called him out yesterday, didn't he? This is a direct quote from Archie Beterbiev to the Ring Magazine or to Match TV. That's not been funneled through by the Ring Magazine to be posted up. But he said Benavidez is the kind of guy who talks a lot more than he does. He is boxing dirty, and some of his victories are certainly questionable. I agreed to fight him after his fight with Yard. His team apparently didn't expect me to agree so quickly, so they immediately changed their minds and chose Zurdo Ramirez. So essentially, if Sean said that, this came out yesterday, that he wanted to fight directly after Yard. During that whole roulette of Benavidez, Beterbiev, and Bivol, the three Bs of boxing, going at it against each other light heavyweight, that was supposed to be the final answer as to who's the best light heavyweight in the world when all three of them are in the same room at the same time. Bivol and Beterbiev were supposed to fight against each other. Winner of that was going to get Benavidez as the mandatory. That was before even he fought Anthony Yard. After Anthony Yard, Bivol got injured. He wanted to fight Bivol. Beterbiev, I think, was hurt. I can't remember exactly if Beterbiev was hurt at that point or not. I think he had a fight with a black brother that got canceled for some reason. Was it Nicholson? I forget his name. But either way, there was a whole diatribe of stuff that happened in the midst of that fight with Yard and afterwards. And then he said I was going to go to cruiserweight. And he called him out like, hey, I was ready to fight you afterwards. I don't think that's a duck. It don't sound like a duck to me. I wouldn't be surprised. In all honesty, the only reason why he probably focused on Zurdo more than Beterbiev was simply because Zotto had a belt. And he wanted to get the belt. And he would have fought Bebo and Beterbiev. And honestly, if both of them had a belt, but he had one of the belts, Bebo had the rest of unified, Bebo wasn't able to fight. So he was like, okay, boom. Do I take on Artur Beterbiev, or do I go and move up and fight an even bigger man in a weight class everybody said I don't belong in and see what happens? So I'm like, I don't think if Sean said that, I think that's wrong. I think neither of them ducked each other. Beterbiev wanted to smoke. Benavidez wanted to keep on making history and keep on getting belts. And we've always said, if you move up to get a title, that is not a duck against somebody. We have said that since Inoue was doing it, since Crawford did it with Madrimov, when Canelo did it after beating Triple G and then moved up to fight against the champions at 168. We said that with Bam. And we said that with Benavidez. We have made that perfectly clear. That it's not if you're going against a bigger division to get a title, that is not a duck against somebody. I've made that perfectly clear on my thing. You may hold a different position, that's perfectly fine. That's how I've always said. So I don't think they ducked each other. Why you would say that? I gotta read it. I gotta read more so on what he had to say on that. But that's a little sketchy. That's a little sketchy. Let me see. Doesn't want Murataya, doesn't want Foster, doesn't want Haney. Shakur needs to stop hiding and say who he wants. What he wants to do. It's getting bad. That I can agree with. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal. That's a major deal. And that's a problem. Strictly because we're seeing multiple people call out or put Shakur in a position that he's got to answer a question. This is everybody's jumping him to put in position to fight him. Devin Haney's applying pressure. Foster's applying pressure. Murataya is applying pressure. And all three are champions and are in positions that Shakur said he wanted to be. Either he wanted to show he was the best at 140, and now you got somebody that wants to come up and challenge you at 140, who was a champion formerly and beat the man that you're a mentor and a friend of in Raymond Ford, who's supposed to be a mini version of you. And he beat him. And now you want your get back, and you get mighty emotional inside the ring when he was saying, hey man, I'll put you out. I ain't seen you like that against anybody else, or relatively anybody else that's talked to you like that in the ring, because normally you just all confident. You're still confident, but now it's like, you there's a little bit more behind the words than what we've seen for other fighters that we've seen you with in the past. You got a reason for getting back with him there. With O'Shaquie Foster, Devin Haney, the money with the Zuffa deal, the position of legacy that would be with that fight, and he's been open to fight you outright and say, yeah, we can get it on. In fact, that's the only reason why we haven't signed this deal outright, strictly because we can't get guaranteed that you're going to fight us there. That's the second person. Bigger name. The biggest name you would have had on your resume. Bigger than Tio. And he applying pressure. Murataya, champion, beat Andy Cruz, but who's got power and great boxing, who is currently seen as arguably the best fighter at 135. Right now at this point. He called you out. He sent a contract for his words in his trainer, and we want to see what you're going to do. He putting pressure. Everybody at every division that has a reputation and a name within the divisions that you said you wanted to fight in has said something of, come make the fight with me, and you stayed silent. Why? Why? That's the question. Why? Where is the holdup? What is the issue? We're not trying to call Devin Haney a duck, like I said earlier. We're not trying to do that. We're also not trying to go and make it so that it's difficult to make a fight happen. And we are now seeing you The walls of 3 different divisions are all pushing in, saying, we want you to see if you can take me on, and you are still making no move at all. The same thing we said with David Haney, or the same thing we said, with David Navides, like we heard with Artur Beterbiev. It's a lot of talk, but no real action. Though, again, I think that's a lie on Beterbiev's part. But when we talk about put that same clip or that same quote to Shakur, kind of right now, you getting a whole lot of offers and ain't nothing good. Nothing's entertaining. Nothing's on the table. Nothing even looks like it's worth your time right now. None of these fights or something's going on. There's nothing amongst any of these names that's called you out that looks remotely interesting, or that, okay, we're working on something. It's just a bunch of on Twitter, we gonna shock the world. We gonna shut people up. We gonna do this, that, and the third. We gonna show y'all the real deal. All of y'all hating are gonna go and eat your words. Once I step back in the ring, it's my world and y'all all are living in it. All of that stuff is talk, good talk, fine. But now the action has to be incurred, because everybody else around you that wants action is trying to get action. Everybody else that wants smoke is trying to get smoke. The people that are pushing the pace are with the ball in their hand, are actively attacking the basket. And right now you got options of where you can score, and you ain't making no move at all. None whatsoever. You looking like a deer in headlights right now. More than that, you're looking indecisive. You don't know which way to go. You don't know which way to turn. You're like Andrew Bynum in the post right now. The brother stalls out. He don't know where. You got so many options, but you can't make a move. You can't commit yourself to one thing or another. What the world, man? I'm not trying to sound like a hater. Please, I'm not. It's frustrating, because we're looking at this and saying there should be something. There should be something. You are one of the biggest names in the sport right now. You are not just healthy, but you're reaching your prime. Your hands are fully usable in both instances. And you have been able to touch on 3 separate divisions of potential action. And you got people that you ain't even naming. Gary Antoine Russell. You got him. You got Dalton Smith. You could go and unify. If you don't think that fighting Shakur or fighting Devin Haney is worth your time, you could do all of this. You could go call out Abdullah Mason, take on a young lion. Next generation versus current generation. Hey, I want the smoke. Let's make it happen. You can unify. Try to go out there undisputed at your own division of 140. Fight Lamar Roach even and give him a shot. Shoot. Take on Keyshawn Davis at 140. Call him out since he wants to go everywhere under the sun. Yeah, he's ranked at #1 for the WBO. You might, excuse me. Y'all, I forgot. Y'all are friends. Y'all would never fight each other. Y'all are blood brothers. Y'all would never even get in the ring with each other. Fine. But you got so many other names. There is a wasting of time that it seems like we're witnessing, because we're watching everybody else that is at or near your same position looking to make a move on you. And you aren't, it seems like your eyes are shut looking at the rest of the multiplicity of divisions and competition that you can fight against. And why? I don't know. Because it doesn't make any sense. Because nothing about the reasoning for why you wouldn't want to make certain moves is adding up to me. Nothing about it at all. Dead silence on all accounts. I get don't talk business, but this is ridiculous at this point. I get you don't want to make it so that you're seen as, oh, you're just blowing smoke and now something fell through and now you look like the fool with the bag in your hand. We don't want that, sure, but we also don't want you saying you have nothing planned. You know what it's starting to sound like? Tyson Fury. That's what it is starting to sound like, Tyson Fury. It's starting to sound like Tyson Fury. Remember? Y'all remember Tyson Fury going through, talking a bunch of smoke about Usyk, talking a bunch of smoke about how I'm the best out here, this, that, and third, wah, and they would actively take fights with people that either A, weren't nearly on his level, or just straight up not fight at all and retire, and then unretire, and retire, and then unretire, fight a bum, and then retire again, but all the while talking about, we're gonna get Usyk, oh, we're gonna get him out of here, he's not worth my time, and everything kept on just falling apart. From the standpoint of the reputation, the respect, and the appeal to some degree of Tyson Fury, because people saying we can't trust you because you're just going to keep on talking and not actually act at all. And what's the point of us caring about that? And this is what you having all the momentum on your shoulders as a fighter right now. I'm not one to pocket watch. I'm not one to talk like, oh, I know the business inside and out. Be clear. There's better people than me that know that. I just know what it looks like from the outside in. From the outside looking in, it looks bad. It looks very bad. It looks horrible. It looks terrible.
Hey, look at this.
It looks bad.
We got some problems here.
This looks really bad. And like I said, I'm not going to call it a duck, but it sure enough looks like there's some, if somebody did say that there was some ducking going on, from the outside looking in, I could say I understand where you're coming from. I'm not going to call it a duck just yet, because it could be that Shakur may just be, in fact, getting business together, and then we can see an announcement, and then from there, we can make a decision. Is this move what we should expect from him? Perfectly fine. I'm fine with sitting and waiting, but I'm not fine with getting antsy either. I'm not fine with with having a seemingly indecisive nature, when everything's conflicting what's been said. Not fine with that. Like I said, we're going to find out. We're going to see. I'm not trying to jump to conclusions. But I'm just telling you, something ain't feeling like it should feel when it comes to talking about this fight as a whole. And so it's a little bit concerning. Little bit, at least for me. Little bit concerning for my taste. More than I would like. Let me keep on reading what you had to say in response to everything involving the world of boxing and beyond, because it is still the championship rounds. We still got your voice and your thoughts and opinions to have and to discuss on our show, whatever movie, sports, television, video games, everything under the sun. We want to hear from you in all regards of the world of boxing and beyond, and we can't wait to hear what you had to say. Let me see. Benavidez was lining up fights with Zerto, and now currently Noah the whole time talking noise about Bivol better be up, and now Ja ducking him. Smoke and mirrors, well-documented smoke and mirrors too. And it's like, and real quick, we can actually discuss the likes of Benavidez real quick as we're ebbing and flowing through the various topics of the show. We got a lot to think about now when it comes to Benavidez. Because now he is in a position that he can go and make a fight potentially with Bivol. Or at least try to force the issue. Bivol better be able to. He fought his fight. He beat Zero Ramirez. It's been, I think he still got some recovery protocol. I forget for how long you can't fight in the ring again. But either way, we understand that for the medical purposes of any fight after you fight. We get that. But he's now in a position where Beterbiev, I believe, is free. Bivol is free. And Benavidez is free. And he already said he wanted to fight at 135 again. He already said he wanted to move down. Or he already said he'd be willing to move down. Not just for Canelo, but for Bivol to get what he deserved at 175 before. He said that we would love to see that. Since we want that, just like we said for the champions. Hey, excuse me, when you already said it earlier, I think last month, you were making noise and you were looking to make negotiations with Bivol already behind the scenes directly after your fight with Zerto. Perfectly fine. Keep that up. Keep the pressure up. You want that fight, you make that fight. Yeah, they still want Beterbiev versus Bivol in Russia. We've said that report on this show last week, if not on Tuesday this week. You can still interject yourself in that situation. Still make it known, hey, I want titles. That's what he said consistently. I want belts. And because of that, if I gotta wait, so be it. Winner of this fights me straight up for the undisputed title. Outright. Winner of this goes and fights me for the undisputed title. We get it on together. You could make that play, make that ploy. You versus Ja. Yes, it's not for a championship. And mind you, we even said, Benavidez even said, he willing to fight the likes of Ja Patai anytime, but he's not fighting for that Zuffa belt. That belt means nothing to me. If we're going to fight, it's going to be for something legitimate. And how the whole situation with him and the IBF getting stripped and whatnot, all that has drawn some concern and some doubts for the fight because the belt that means something is not on the line anymore. But if he really wants to be a G, sure, he can still take that fight regardless. Now, if he does take that fight, there are going to be some people that come on here and say, well, why would you do that? There's no title in play for it. You're putting a risk. And yeah, it's a good fight, but the worth of it, some people may have a doubt of. But again, if we want to see him be able to take on all forms of competition, belt or no belt, to prove I'm the best out here, yeah, I'll fight you and I'll take you out. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe. I doubt it. If Jai had a belt, I think that fight would have probably happened next. But because he doesn't, and he still wants to go after titles, he better go and make the move like he said he wanted to do and fight the likes of Bivol. Or make a ploy to say, we gonna get that fight, the winner between those two, outright. No debate and no concern. Make a move and stand on it so we can know what's coming down the line. Let me see. He says that, then turns around and proposes a catch weight of 190 to fight Bivol. He knows he ain't going back down. Just noise, unfortunately. Yeah. That's another concern. That's another concern. Can Benavidez go back down and fight? Can he? Legitimately. Can he go back down and can he fight at 175? 168 is a lofty goal that almost assuredly will not happen. I would love to see Canelo and Benavidez. But if it's not at 170, if it's not at 180, most likely that fight ain't going to happen. I would be shocked. I would be shocked if that fight happened at 175. Only because I don't know if he can. Canelo coming back up is unlikely. But for Benavidez coming back down, he may say he can't do it. But this was the issue going at the cruiserweight. When you put on that weight and you see how it feels, taking it off turns into a different task entirely. And if you take it off wrong, you're not taking off weight, you're taking off muscle. You're not taking off fat, or you're not taking off just extra mass. You're taking off muscle if you do it wrong. And now you run into a Roy Jones Jr. situation where you're never the same. All that speed that we talked about Benavidez can be gone just like that. At the drop of a hat, gone. All because you cut weight wrong. So, like, is it just noise? Or is it something substantial? It's concerning. Because again, similar to Keyshawn Davis, if we hold the standard for one, we hold it for all. Keyshawn wanted to go 140, 147, 135. Anybody and everybody. He didn't know where he was going to go. And we were saying there's too much confusion. You're calling out Debo. You're talking about 140 and saying you want to go undisputed there. Now you're saying you can't make weight and you want to make it's so much stuff. You missed weight at 140 when you fought at 140 and you got a title. What the word? You see? Oh, we're confused. We don't need that. And with Benavidez, we may love the rah-rah, the bravado, and saying, oh yeah, he's, and mind you, up until this point, he's been walking out the walk. Up until this point, he's been walking out the walk of trying to fight and be what he's supposed to be. That doesn't change the stuff. That doesn't change if your actions start messing up. We got to start saying some stuff may be a little bit concerning. Right now, a lot of numbers being thrown. A lot of weight being potentially talked about. Heavyweight, cruiserweight, 175, and 116. All are in the discussion. Bivol, better be it. Jaya Pataya, all the names that he said he's willing to take on. Challenges and obstacles, titles, and all the glory that can be gained have been discussed from Benavidez against a multiplicity of opponents from multiple different weight classes. And we are just not sure what's gonna go down because we don't know who he's honing in on. The best bet is Bivol, but right now it's still up in the air. That could change in a heartbeat. So I hope it's not just noise, but it very well could be. It very well, it at least draws some concern. That's what I would say. Let me see. You think, peel out, again, we appreciate you tuning in. Let me see. You think Zayas is going to bang with boots or punch and move? He's probably going to, it's going to be a combination of both. Be clear. It's going to be, let's be completely honest. It's going to be a combination of both. We're going to see Boots and Zayas fight against each other. And we're going to see Zayas, he going to try to bang with him. He keeps alluding to, you never dealt with somebody of my size that can do everything that I do. Perfectly fine. He's going to attack the body. That's number one. He's going to go downstairs. He's going to try to attack the body from long range. And then when Boots comes in, smother, punches downstairs, and then keep him at bay once they get out. He's going to have to earn his respect at some point, so he'll most likely get into the mid-range at some point or another and try to land some really heavy shots to go and give Boots something to think about. But he's most likely going to start moving and using that length because that's what he knows he's seen him struggle with. It's going to be a combination of both, but predominantly it's most likely going to be from the outside, at least from my perspective. If we're going off of what film would suggest is the best way to take on somebody like a Boots Ennis. Sure, if you can go and bang out with him and just stay in the pocket with him, you can give it a try. With Zayas' size and at this division, sure, it can be enough to hurt him. Sure, it can be enough to go and change the complexion of the fight. Sure, it can be enough to go through and shift and cause Boots to have to second guess some things. Yeah, absolutely, it's possible. Boots' chin is at a bigger threat level than it's ever been at before going up against Xander Zayas. It's never been this much in danger of one punch can shift everything about Boots when he's fighting against Zayas. None. No other fight. This is going to be a huge concern. And Zayas wants to make Boots feel the pressure and feel the power. But he's most likely going to still use that length and try to keep that outside active and aggressive. Give Boots a lot to think about. Give Boots some damage downstairs. And give Boots Ennis very minimal opportunities to be able to land something thudding if he does, in terms of Zayas, make a mistake. That's what I would assume. Now, if the boxing doesn't work and he can't use his length, well, then you're gonna see what we saw against Abbas a little bit. Going in the trenches, body to body, shoulder to shoulder, and now you punching size for size and power punch, uppercut, an uppercut for every hook. A straight right hand for every uppercut. It's going to be that type of situation. A body blow for a body blow. And who can go and outlast who? Now, if it comes into that type of situation, that's when Zayas is absolutely going to lose, in my opinion, due to the faster more sharp puncher in the likes of Boots. He'll be more inclined. He'll be well and good, fine with getting into that type of fight. But just know he's going to lose that type of fight eventually because of the fact that we know his punches can get in a whole lot cleaner and a whole lot quicker because his technique inside that close range is a whole lot better. Not just the raw speed. We're talking about how he throws his shot. It's crisp and clean. It allows him to throw a multiplicity of shots in succession, same hand and all. Because they don't need a lot of torque to go and generate a lot of power. And he's got enough dexterity to be able to go and get around that guard Zayas. And Zayas' guard has been vulnerable. So yeah, it's gonna be he gonna stay on the outside. And mid-range, long range is where he wants to be. If he's got to go into close range, he will do it. He will do it. But the question is, can he be successful? In my opinion, the answer is no. In that range, I think the answer is no. Let me see. Zayas will definitely make use of his movement if he knows what's good for him. He's gonna have to. Like he did. He's gonna have to. That's his. He's got to implement that into his game. He has to. Unless he was like Archibald, where it's like, yeah, I can take or Gennady Golovkin. Okay, yeah, let me get close. I know I can take the punishment, and I can definitely punch better than you. Yeah, you don't need to be doing it. You do not need to be going through and trying to go and bang out with them. At least not at your most dominant type of fight. Let me see. Team Benavidez is very, very inconsistent with the things that they say. It's all documented. And again, this is why we say hold fighters' feet to the fire. This is why we say whatever you feel in regards to anybody, hold fighters' feet to the fire. Make sure that everything is consistent. Make sure everything is what it's supposed to be with anybody. Because it's more than just, the business of boxing and whatnot. We're not dumb. We know what you said to us. We know what you said to reporters. We know what you said to the public. And we know when something starts to be genuine versus when something starts to be, this brother is starting to backpedal, starting to lose some of the investment in the word is bond sentiments that we would normally have for a boxer. So yeah, be skeptical. And if they're inconsistent, guess what? They're inconsistent. And they got it, they're messing up. Straight up. Benavidez or anybody else for that, man. And again, this is why I said for Benavidez, we got to be very mindful. We got to be very mindful. Because with Benavidez, I've said up until this point, between trying to go after Canelo and then making his own legacy, he stuck to his word on that regard. In this instance now, we're seeing confusion that, again, I don't think we need to see. And it's a lot of, like you said, like somebody said so eloquently, blowing smoke. We don't need people blowing smoke when it comes to trying to figure out what's the up and up and how a fighter's going to go and move throughout his career. I'm down for seeing greatness. I really am. I just hope it's sooner rather than later. Because this can lead to everybody just waiting. Then we don't get a fight at all. Primes gets wasted. Fights that we wanted to see get aged out. And everything under the sun turns into just a mess. A mess in all regards. And it can get frustrating. It can get frustrating really quick. Really quick. And that's why we got to keep an eye on it. Also, before we even continue, we still got more stuff that we can discuss on this show. Like with some more news involving the world of boxing and some other elements of action that's been taking place. Like we got an announcement that is going down. Iglesias is getting a fight done against Carlos Adames. Yes, it looks like more than ever that fight between Carlos Adames and Iglesias We want to talk about fighters and we don't know who's actually going to be about that action. Iglesias and Adames looks to be about that action. It's closer and closer. Those talks have been moving forward to actually having a fight date made for this year, potentially within the next couple of months. We can see a fight to happen and be agreed upon with the date in mind for, was it June, September, or November? Hypothetically, we could get a fight between them happening for one portion of the 168-pound division and a title on the line. This is big. This is huge. If anything is going to be answered about Iglesias' ability to be more than a boogeyman, but a true buying threat for the rest of this division, it's going to be if he can beat Adames. Because Adames, we saw, was able to go and take it to the likes of, though he was injured, a very dangerous Hamzat Shiraz. So if we can see Iglesias potentially continuous knockout streak and put out the likes of Adames and handle him in a way that we potentially have never seen any other fighter handle him before, this will make everybody believe that this man, Olei's Iglesias, is going to have everybody saying Olay, because they're going to be like a matador trying to get out the way of whatever this running bull is going to bring to the table when it comes to potentially moving through and being a dominant force at this super middleweight division. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He can be a problem.
We got some problems here.
He can be a problem. This can be an outright start of that potential problem for the rest of the division. So with that, as this goes through, we will continue to track it. But I'm telling you, when it comes to Iglesias, if this fight does happen, this is going to be the fight to answer questions. Yes, even with Carlos coming up from a smaller division, this will be the fight that answers questions about what can potentially happen. And what in terms of our buying power in the likes of Olei's as a legitimate threat in the world of 154. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, in the world of 116. My apologies. Excuse me. But we did also do one more thing I wanted to touch on when it came to the world of boxing. There was what was it? Counterbend. That's what I was thinking. Counterbend with the whole situation with him fighting at 147, potentially having the fights with the likes of whether it's Shakur or Ryan Garcia or others, he had something that he wanted to say about that whole potential big fight matchup that could take place.
Well, listen, I definitely feel like I'm in the best place to make the biggest fights happen. Yeah. And
excuse me one moment, son. We got some audio issues going on right now that we're trying to. There we go. Okay, my apologies. Here we go. I wanted to play this clip for you all before we continue forward, because this is important in reference to talking about the 147-pound division, still going back to the topic of the 147-pound division, with Counterbend specifically as one of the fights that is in big position to happen. I want to see what he had to say when it came to potentially making these big fights and putting them on the table as the next chapter in his career continues to unfold. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. Wait a minute. There we go. Okay.
How close are we to seeing that fight with Shakur, and would that take place on Zuffa, or where do you reckon that's going to be? How close are we to seeing that fight with Shakur, and would that take place on Zuffa, or where do you reckon that's going to be?
well, listen, I definitely feel like I'm in the best place to make the biggest fights happen.
Yeah.
And I reckon as within maybe 10, 15 days, there's going to be a big announcement that will continue to prove why I made the decision I made and also become #1 proven world champion.
So, I played this because this still goes into Shakur. And it could be that Shakur, again, speculation, be clear. Be very clear. Speculation. Major speculation. Huge speculation. But with the whole conversation with Shakur Devin Haney, Zuffa, and all. Shakur not taking a fight with Devin Haney right now. Him staying silent and all that stuff. What if, and this is a big what if. It's a big what if. What if we see that Shakur Stevenson is not going after Devin Haney at all? And the next fight that he has signed with Zuffa, but it ain't because he's fighting Haney, but it's because we getting Shakur versus Conor Benn. We've talked about Ryan Garcia as the potential next fight. We've talked about Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn. That's the fight that everybody's saying we're going to see made happen. Ryan Garcia's been talking to everybody. September 12th, we're going to get me versus Conor happening. He went on Jimmy Kimmel. He went on all these places. And again, Conor Benn was the one that went on social media and said, you're talking all this talk, but you haven't signed the deal for anything. Again, per Conor Benn's social media. There is a world where we get Shakur versus Conor Benn. And that's the fight that he's been teasing. Mind you, this question was in reference to when are we going to get a fight with Shakur. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm not saying that's absolutely what's going to transpire. But I am saying because of the world of boxing under Zuffa and what they have right now under their roster, and if we're still having concerns with Shakur doesn't want that smoke with Devin Haney right now, for whatever reason, if we want to run with that, fine. It is not a likely, but it's a possible scenario that we could get Shakur versus Conor Benn at 147 for Shakur's first fight at that division. Because, yeah, he is moving up to 147. He does go up to one to fight, but he ain't fighting Devin Haney straight up. Hypothetically, it could be that he fights Conor Benn. It could be. Or, dare I say, Conor Benn even drops down to 140. Dare I say, we could see Conor Benn potentially try to make the jump back down to 140. And that's the fight. He fights one of his titles at 140. Hypothetically. Again, speculation. But there is an air of possibility. Due to the position, due to Zuffa wants to make good on making their investment. If we're paying this man all this money, we better get somebody better than Regis Prograis as a person that he's fighting. We better. And we need to make sure that when we get somebody that is a big name, if we can't get them the other biggest name on the docket, we get somebody that we know will move tickets, move revenue, move money, and move the needle to push the envelope of investment for the people in some way, shape, or form. And right now, that would be, for Conor Benn, him getting a fight with Shakur. It would be, if it's not Ryan Garcia. Because Lord knows if something falls through with that fight, and they need to make something happen now. That would be the fallback. That would be the alternative. So it could be for Conor Benn. Either way, he makes the biggest payday of his life, whether it's against Ryan Garcia or against the likes of Shakur Stevenson. But within those two names of parameters, don't be surprised if we get to see Shakur not fight the likes of Devin Haney, but he fights Conor Benn as the next big ticket fight for Zuffa, for what they can make, hypothetically. I'm just throwing it out there as a potential possibility. Because as much as people say, oh, that wouldn't make big sense, it would make some sense. It would make enough sense that if that is a quote-unquote fallback option or a fight to tease the bigger fight, as Zuffa maybe wants to push the envelope of making stuff happen, this could be the thing. Just, again, food for thought. Simply food for thought of what can transpire. Most likely, yeah, it is going to be Conor Benn versus Ryan Garcia. But there is an off chance that we could get Conor Benn versus Shakur. Very slim. And that might be the reason why he's been silent about saying none of those deals with Devin Haney have actually taken place. None of those are actually in the cards for what's going on. Don't believe that hype. We got something coming. This could be that thing. Hypothetically. Again, skeptical. Just giving you something to think about for what can potentially be down the line. But as we continue to go through on the world of boxing, we don't want to go and read and weed out any potential voices. It is still the championship rounds. We want to hear from you in any regards of the world of boxing and beyond. We want your thoughts, your opinions, your potential debates, questions, comments, concerns, anything involving the world of the NBA, the NFL, or anything else under the sun of the world of sports that you want to discuss and be a part of. We can discuss it right here on our show and have you all on our conversation, on our humble abode of a community to go and voice your opinions on anything involving the world of sports and beyond. We don't want to overstay our welcome. We don't want to go through and push ourselves too far on your day. We want to make sure that you can enjoy it for everything that is worth, but we also want to be sure that we give you a chance to say whatever you may feel needs to be said in the world of the sports landscape. But we don't want to overstay our welcome. So we can real quickly, because we don't want to overstay. Before we do, somebody had a chat earlier that I wasn't able to get to. Here it was. And this was the one I wanted to get. I wanted to get to. I think there were two chats that I said I was going to get back to before we ended this show, and I want to make sure I catch them. This was one of them. This question by the likes of Marquavius was one of them. Name your top 5 fighters right now. Just trying to see if mine are similar to yours. And I apologize that we didn't get touch on this early because we were talking about the rest of the whole Devin Haney saga and situation. But my top 5 right now, in terms of pound for pound, in a way, Bam Rodriguez, Usyk, Devin Haney, and Shakur Stevens. That was for those of you that didn't know my list, that's my list for pound for pound right now for the year of 2025. Usyk is Noriya Inoue, Alexander Usyk, Bam Rodriguez, David Benavidez, and then Shakur Stevenson, number 5. Reasoning for it, Benavidez going up from light heavyweight to cruiserweight and beating Zerto in that dominant of a fashion in the way that everybody was saying everything about Benavidez could be negated, shook the world, rightfully so, and pushed him to look like, okay, yeah, this brother might be the best at 175 and 168, or at 175 and at cruiserweight. And he's looking as dominant as we've ever seen him in a way that he was not supposed to be able to be dominant. That bumped him up. That was preposterous. That was ridiculous. We said this months ago, if he fights and beats the likes of Zerto, we said this when MS came on here and talked about it and said it and broke the news. Hey, this is what he's doing next. If he did that, I said we're going to have some uncomfortable conversations. That's one of them. He's top 4 for that. Because that's a stupid type of accomplishment. That's a dumb type of accomplishment. That's ridiculous. That's why I got him at 4 above Shakur. Now, Shakur, with his fight with Devin Haney, if he makes it and he beats him, he will elevate above him. And he would turn into number, he would go and flip. He's number 4. And Shakur and Benavidez would drop it down to 5. But that's what the list that I have. I think that's pretty fair. Now, some people may have Shakur at number 2 or number 3, or some people even have as number 1. Some people got Usyk still at number 1, even though that fight with Rico messed, a lot of people's opinions on Usyk of what happened. But for me, I think that's a pretty fair list. With Shakur being able to jump up depending on how the next 2 fights of him go. Now, like if he doesn't fight Devin Haney or Shakur, if he doesn't fight Devin Haney or get a unified belt at the divisions, but just wins, he probably just stays. He probably just stays where he's at without any real change. But success against a big name could elevate him even bigger. But those are my 5. In a way, Bam, Usyk, Benavidez, and Shakur are my top 5. I would love to see if you agree or disagree, or if you think I'm absolutely blowing smoke with my opinions, because Lord knows, some people may think that I don't know nothing. Some people may think I don't know nothing, but hey, look, I just leave that to the people at hand, and I'm just here to give you the entertainment that I can. But I think there was one more chat I wanted to give and touch on before I let this thing go. Where was it at? Let me see if I can find it real quick. Where was it? Was it here? Where was it at? There was a chat that we had earlier. That's what it was. Super Saiyan. This is way earlier in the show. Way early in the show. When discussing Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Shakur, Keyshawn Davis, and the rest of 140 and 147 collectively. I did want to touch on this real quick, because this, I think this is important. The whole of 147. When we're looking at 140 and 147, that whole collective of conversation, all of this talk is surrounding essentially 2 different divisions, which that's where a lot of the talent is. This has become combined one of the densest regimes in boxing right now, on par with the likes of 154. We are in a very volatile position. Shakur, Haney, Keyshawn, Ryan Garcia, Conor Ben, all of those names and people I'm not even thinking about. Antoine Russell, Dalton Smith, Brian Norman Jr., the whole lot. We're in a volatile state where big fights, mega fights, major fights can be made from the biggest names to the even smaller names, all to answer the question of who's the best. We hope and pray that money does not become a factor to the point that it holds back what progress should be for this division. Because Shakur and Haney is still just one portion of this whole conversation piece when it comes to what we have in boxing right now. It's just one portion. The whole of this conversation that we want to see is us trying to figure out how exactly can we answer the question of who runs the world amongst you. Because Devin Haney still has questions in regards to people around here. Him versus Haney or him versus Shakur is a big deal because, look, we think there's somebody that's a better pure boxer than you. Brian Norman, we want to see him potentially run it back. Him versus Keyshawn Davis is a fight that people are saying is a viable option. And we're looking and saying that's a fight that if both of them are retooling, more so Brian Norman than anything, his performance can show that he's back into the mix of pushing the envelope of getting to the top of the mountain once again and competing with the top of the top if that fight ever did come to fruition and show that he has some real metal in the system from the standpoint of fortitude. And this new revamping of coaching can still show up and show out and be dominant. Keyshawn's got names galore that right now is in position for him to fight. Him versus Ryan Garcia being one of them. Him versus Shakur him versus Haney being one of them. Shoot, I'll say it. Him versus Shakur. It's still going to be a conversation. Why? Simply because he's going to be in the same position. He's going to be in position for a title. He may get a belt. And it could be that Shakur's got to face off against him. Him versus Devin Haney is a fight that if we get that next, all of a sudden that could shake up the landscape of everything involving the world of 147 and the rest of 140 as a whole. Pound for pound shifts can happen. And then after that, if he gets through that, Ryan Garcia, with the resurgence that he's had, we want to see all this smoke come to life. Because there's so many more answers that need to be answered or that need to be given. There's so many more questions that we have now that everybody looks like they're clustering up. Everybody looks like they're getting. Teofimo Lopez, don't forget, is also at 147. Everybody, Tio versus Keyshawn, it's a fight. Tio versus Ryan Garcia is a fight. Tio versus Devin Haney, that's a fight that can happen. We're in the midst of everybody completely tied into each other in a box, all at 147. Yeah, they're talking about fighting at between 140 and 147. Everybody, most of these talks are elevating upwards. Come up here and fight me. Take my belt. I want to fight at 147. Shakur, you're going to fight at 147. Tio's moving up to 147. Keyshawn, you have to fight at 147 because you can't make weight at 140 comfortably anymore when you just got there. So everything's aligning to you're all about to be at the same place at the same time, fighting for the same belts with friends and foes all around you. We're going to get some ancestors who runs this world, and we want them quick without any delay. We're at a very volatile state where we don't want all of that imagination of potential ability to fall by the wayside and completely drop off the face of the earth, because we are in a position to get a bunch of major fights right at our fingertips with a whole cast of characters that got different connections all around this division. And we want to see it made happen. We need to see it. This division can be one of the most lucrative divisions in boxing. Mega fights can be made almost every other couple of months with the way this division is being positioned right now, with all the names that are on the conversation of potential negotiations. Fanfare that people want to see. The grudge matches between fan bases. All of that. People want to see this stuff work. I do too. I just don't want idle talk getting in the way of this. I don't want pump fakes left, right, and center getting in the way of what we can potentially see. That's a scary thing. Lord knows I hope we don't get that. Because, man, what it would ruin is a fantasy that can turn into reality of one of the most chaotic years in boxing that could lead to matches that we've all said we wanted to see. This very division could, with the way it's built up right now, could lead to Keyshawn versus Shakur if it took one wrong turn. One wrong word, one wrong slight, one seemingly disparaging nature of distrust, and everything can fall by the wayside and we can get that fight. Rematches with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney on the table. Ryan versus Tio Lopez. Hey, great. On the table. Rematch with Tio and Shakur, with Tio looking potentially revamping himself. That's on the table. Tio versus Keyshawn Davis. But the man who handled your op that gave you trouble before Shakur worse than what we saw when you fought. What you gonna do against that? All this is on the docket. One of the most chaotic spectacles that we could have is the 147-pound division. I just don't want it to be ruined. Don't let this fall by the wayside. Please, please, for everything I support and hold dear, please don't let that fall by the wayside. Because Shakur and Haney is just one of the potential avenues that all this can go to. Now, I don't want to see that ruined. I really don't. And you know what? Before we get out of here, because we got to end off this show, the last thing I want to say, mind you, if you want to ask more questions, still championship rounds, be clear. Y'all still control the whole of this show. But the other thing I wanted to say, when it comes to this division, specifically Shakur, could it be, and again, this is food for thought, could it be that Shakur Stevenson might be dragging his feet to go up to 147 outright to fight Shakur because of the fact that Keyshawn Davis has been trying to fight Devin Haney. Excuse me, I said that wrong. Could it be that Shakur Stevenson is dragging his feet to try to fight Devin Haney because Keyshawn Davis wants to fight Devin Haney? And because of that brotherhood bond, Shakur Stevenson does not want to get in the way of Keyshawn Davis getting a shot at his title. And if Keyshawn Davis wins against Devin Haney, he does not want to have to fight Keyshawn Davis for a belt at 147. Hypothetically, could that be why we are not getting this fight in the framework of Shakur moving into position to make it, hey, I want that smoke now type situation? Could it be? Because they'll never fight each other. I'll reign in one division, you reign in another. And we won't ever get in the way of each other's success. There could be a world where all of this confusion with why Shakur isn't fighting Haney is strictly because he is not trying to get in the way of Keyshawn Davis, because he does not want to take the shine of his blood brother. Again, speculation, not saying everything's confirmed. Simply giving you my point of opinion. And all of this denial, all of this we ain't in no talks and stuff and whatnot, is strictly because Keyshawn Davis is gunning for Devin Haney. And Shakur does not want to step on his brother's toes to take a position away from him. And if he wins the belt and beats Devin Haney, he doesn't want to have to fight Keyshawn Davis. So he'll let him reign at 147. And he stays at 140, hypothetically. And ultimately, we then see Keyshawn at 147, Shakur at 140. And when Keyshawn moves up again, that's when we see Shakur go and take the belt. That's when we see Shakur say, all right, I'm moving up to 147. I could have done it all this time, but I just wanted to give him the division to reign and let him do his thing. Now that he's out, I'll come in. Because they don't ever want to get in each other's way. With how they've talked about each other, with how they talked about their brotherhood, with how they talked about their bond, with how they talked about the support that they've had for each other, with everything involving what we've seen when it comes to Keyshawn and Shakur being hand in hand. They do not want to I don't want to say outshine, but they don't want to overtake the other person's success. That might be why we're not getting this fight. Or in the most immediate of talking stages as we think that we should. That might be why. That might be why. But if that is the case, we better hope that Shakur better hope Keyshawn loses. Because knowing Keyshawn Davis, if he wins and if he does get this fight with Devin Haney, ironically, and he beats Devin Haney in an upset situation, he gonna call himself the best in the world. No doubt. He would. Who wouldn't after that type of win? But specifically him. And he gonna be saying, I'm number one. Everybody else bump him. It's me alone at the top. Y'all saw what I did to the best boxer in the world. And be clear, he's going to say those words outright because that's the position that not just Devin Haney holds himself to, but you won't be able to hold that type of acclaim to, hey, I beat the man that was consistently here at the top 10 and was supposed to be unbeatable up here. I showed you, I beat the man who was supposed to be the best boxer purely in the land. I have that moniker now. And he gonna start talking reckless. I'm telling you. And it's gonna be a situation where Keyshawn put Shakur in a bad state. I should be number one or number two. I should be ahead of Shakur. I should be above whatever Shakur's ranked right now. Because of what I just did and what I've done already. Now you got yourself a brewing for some confidence, cockiness, and at some point in time, He's going to say the wrong thing. If this win was to happen, it's going to push Shakur to have to answer. Hey, brother, if you want your spot up to where you think you are, and to shut everybody up that this brother ain't on your level, you're going to need to go and fight him. Because the way that he's talking, he's got the win to prove it. The only way you can take that win is to take him out. So what you going to do? Because he ain't changing his mind if he did get that upset win. That's why I'm saying this may backfire for Shakur. Because if again, speculatively, if he's leaving this division open for Keyshawn to have the chance to beat Devin Haney, which is why the fight talks aren't going through from Shakur's side, and Keyshawn does get this upset win, I promise you he's going to talk in a way that's going to say, I'm better than Shakur. And people going to say, hey, Shakur, he said he's better than you. What you going to do? He's going to have a choice to make. Either take the talk or make something shake. And Keyshawn, I promise you, I've said this before and I'll say it again. If this blood bond breaks down, it's going to be because Keyshawn Davis broke it. If this untouchable nature that they've had breaks down, it's going to be because Keyshawn breaks it. Because he's going to say, score me. He may seem even killed. That brother, he's a killer from the standpoint of, I got a chip on my shoulder. It just takes, he's cut from a section of cloth that we see Terrence Crawford be cut from. It only takes one wrong thing to push him and say, okay, yeah, we gotta shut this down. It only takes one. Only takes one wrong thing to have Shakur say, yeah, we gotta shut this down. And if that happens, gloves are off at that point. And if Shakur doesn't want that to happen, I would advise him, or at least if he wants to mitigate the risk of having to deal with that, I would advise him to take that fight with Devin Haney now. Don't let Keyshawn be potentially the first man to beat Devin Haney. Because if he does, talk's about to get nasty. Real nasty. And you're going to be on the wrong end of that stick for the words that come out of his mouth. Yeah, he got his moment. But because you didn't take the moment, he's going to be talked about in ways you're going to feel slighted about. And he's going to say stuff that's going to slight you even more. And now you're going to have to answer, is this friendship worth my legacy potentially being undervalued and diminished by the man that's supposed to be my guy? Because I guarantee you it's going to happen. And then we got to see what he's going to do. And whatever happens at that point. But that's the question he's going to have to answer for himself. Whether or not he actually does it, we'll find out. Whether it all actually happens, we'll find out. But just trust me, it's going to be a conversation we're going to have potentially in the very near future if the wrong turns of events do transpire. Guarantee you that. But with all that being said, we're going to go and wrap the show up with whatever we want to have to say. Or, excuse me, we're going to wrap the show up with potentially the last topics of this show. If you have anything else you want to say as we're doing the last call. That's right, come on. It's the last call. Whatever other questions, comments, concerns, debates in the boxing world or beyond that you would like to discuss, we can talk about it right here on this show. In the realm of the NBA, NFL, boxing, basketball, anything under the sun. Mind you, we're not just a boxing show. We're a sports show outright. If you want to talk about LA getting Myles Garrett, of all people, to sign with them, trading Verse away back to Cleveland. And now Garrett is now an LA Ram, where they're in position to get a shot at another Super Bowl run. Now getting rumors and speculation that we may see Aaron Donald want to come back out of retirement for one more year and play alongside the most dominant defensive lineman that we got in the NFL right now to turn into the greatest duo that we've seen potentially in NFL history on that front line. If we ever saw that take place, my word, defenses would crumble. You couldn't double both of them. We may even see Aaron Donald take a pay cut for that type of one-on-one situation. Double team Myles Garrett or double team Aaron Donald. Yeah, Donald's 3 years out the league. He still can play. He still is in the prime of his physical ability, and he still would be the most destructive D tackle that we would have in the NFL right now. If that ever happened, my gosh, LA would be the worst nightmare for any team. The whole right side of the field would be cut off from any quarterback or running back. It'd be that bad. It would be that egregious. It would be that scary for anybody. I hope it happens. I'm not gonna lie. I hope it happens. I hope we see it. I want to see that level of destruction. I'm not gonna lie. I want to see that level of pain and suffering, because that would be one of the greatest sights to see if we did get to see them two play again with each other. My God, this next year in the NFL is going to be ridiculous. Couple that with the fact that OBJ is back on the New York Giants, even though they got their own problems with potential locker room flares with Jackson Dart and that whole sentiment, and with Abdullah Carter and all that other stuff transpiring. Hey, very interesting to see. To see what the Giants are going to be like this year with some leadership potential issues and locker room troubles going around. But that's a whole nother topic of conversation. But again, we can delve into more of that or more stuff with the NBA. As don't forget, we have the NBA Finals coming up tonight. 8:30 tonight is going down when we get to see the Spurs and New York face off against each other for Game 2 of a very interesting NBA Finals series right now, with the Knicks up in 1-0 success, going up against the Spurs, taking home court advantage away from them as they took Game 1. Spurs got to take Game 2 with Victor Wembanyama needing at least 30 points, in my opinion, to be dominant. He cannot have a game like he did last game. I'm not going to lie either. The biggest reason why the Knicks won Game 1 wasn't just because that we got to see Jalen Brunson go off for over 15 points in the fourth quarter to end the night off with 30 plus and get a secure victory. Absolutely. One of the clutchest players of the year. Arguably the clutchest player that we got right now in the NBA. Outright in Jalen Brunson. He showed up and did what he was supposed to do. But I'm going to tell you this right now. This game would have looked a lot different if Dylan Harper was not on the bench and subbed out for De'Aaron Fox. Harper was cooking. Harper was eating. Harper was one of the best offensive options on this team in a game that looked like something out of 2008. When it came to everybody not being able to score, it being 76-76 by the end of the third quarter. Oh yeah, this was 2000s ball, the epitome of it. But I'm telling you, this game would have looked a lot different if Harper wasn't sat down after he had gotten some real momentum in his own offensive game. They better play him Game 2. He better start Game 2 and end Game 2. Well, De'Aaron Fox on there perfectly fine. But he better start and end Game 2, because if not, they need that type of offensive production for this type of potential defensively oriented series where everybody's missing. Don't make that mistake again if you're the Spurs coach. Because y'all can make adjustments. Y'all could have easily won Game 1. Y'all could have. And he could have been the X factor. You better play him this game and start him and keep him for the majority of these minutes at point guard. Boy, if you don't, I respect the veteran leadership of De'Aaron Fox. But right now, De'Aaron Fox, he shot 2 for 13. I think it was 0 for 5 from 3. This man couldn't hit the side of a barn right now. It's going to get really bad if he continues to play like this. He better be coming off the bench. And if they do, he can have a chance to win. He have a real chance to win. Absolutely end the series and take Game 2 of this series. Let me see what you all have to say as we continue to go through, as we're in the last call of this show. Right now, let's see. Vaughn Greenhill, you say tables will definitely turn between Keyshawn and Shakur if Keyshawn beats Devin Haney. No doubt. Yeah, absolutely. I'm telling you. I'm not crazy. The conversations will shift, and Devin Haney, or excuse me, Shakur, will talk. Excuse me, Keyshawn Davis will talk out the side of his mouth. He will, whether he means to or not, he will put down and disrespect Shakur in the eyes of Shakur by saying, I'm the best in the world. I told y'all, nobody's better than me. And when the public y'all thought that Devin Haney was disrespecting in a way when he was saying this pound for pound list was preposterous with him being number one, you thought that was bad. Let Keyshawn beat Devin Haney and let them rank him above or with Shakur. Especially if it's a dominant performance. Let that happen. And watch what takes place. Let Max Kellerman say, I think Keyshawn Davis is better than Shakur. I think Keyshawn Davis would beat Shakur. Because I don't see Shakur doing what we saw Keyshawn did to Devin Haney. He ain't beating him like that. Let that come out of his mouth. Let Shady McCoy say something like, I got to change my mind now. Let Twitter start going ablaze with how they feel about Keyshawn Davis after that win. They will put them two against each other. And all it takes is for Keyshawn to buy into it. And it's going to get nasty. Okay, Shakur, I'm not saying he ain't reckless, but when it comes to who's better than me, he got a short fuse. And he may not start it, but I guarantee you he'll be the one to say, yeah, this friendship out the window. You talking like you actually like that, and you ain't compared to me. And you letting them say this, putting you above me? Oh, yeah, we going to end this now. Guarantee you. Promise you. Let me see. Wise man, Team of the VDS don't want that smoke with Jai Battaglia at all. And they're not fighting B-Ball, better BF either at 175. I mean, at this point, honestly, we have to just wait and see. We have to just wait and see at this point whether or not he's going to do it. Because common sense would say he's going to fight or look to fight Bivol next, if he can. That's a fight that looks like it makes the most sense in the world. If he doesn't do that, Apataya would seem like the next best bet. Is just the fact that it's convoluted because Apataya lost his belt. From the standpoint of, I want to go after championships as being the main MO of David Benavidez. Better BF, like I said, I would love to see that fight. I really would love to see that fight. It's just a matter of that fight will most likely happen after the winner of Better BF and B-Ball actually takes place. Because from my vantage point, and I've been keeping consistent with this, I've been saying that Benavidez wants to go after championships for his legacy. And he has been moving like that. It is just the fact that right now, the titles that he wants are either A, stripped from the man that he wanted to fight, or B, in position to be fought for by somebody else. If we don't send any, here's what it comes down to. For me, let me get some more news. Well, actually, no, before that. Before any news on whether or not Bebo and Better BF is indeed trying to be made possible. Let me see what Better BF says over the next coming weeks in regards to Apataya, Better BF, and Bivol all being available. Specifically, Bivol and Apataya being available to fight. Let me see how we approach this, because I'm thinking, he's going after Bivol as his number one option of, I want titles from you, because I should have gotten my belt from you. I'm thinking. And if he still says he can come back down, hold to your word and say you can come back down. That's my thing. Like I said, I remember what you said. You said on multiple occasions, I can make weight at 175. You said that verbatim on multiple occasions. More than you said you do a catch weight. You said I can make weight at 175. Let me see you hold to that. Let me see you make a conscious effort, contracts and all, better negotiations, updating the public. You want that fight at 175. Make it. Make it. Put some serious position behind it. Push yourself to make that a point that, yeah, I am committed to that fight. After that, if it falls through still, see how it goes. Now, pivot to where you can. If you can't get that fight. Because you said that was your first out. That was the first name that came out your mouth after. When Ariel won. After we got to see who you're trying to fight next. If we don't see those talks go through, because Benavidez is starting to change some stuff, we got a problem. If we don't see him talking about Apataya or looking to say, we'll fight for the vacant IBF belt, let me get it and then I'm fighting Apataya, we got a problem. Or straight up fighting Apataya outright, we got a problem. If Benavidez, again, is on the docket of we can make this fight, and we don't see him moving like he's been talking, we have a problem. Keep it simple. We know what he said, we know what he did, and we know what we want to see him do. And if he doesn't keep that type of position, all we can say is, hey, brother, you're messing up. And until you stop messing up, we're going to have ourselves still a problem, regardless of which. You can fix it. But we're going to monitor you very closely. Because right now, crazy enough, you got momentum, but you're also in the hot seat. You have momentum, but you are also in the hot seat when it comes to the world of boxing right now. Because we want to see the next steps. Because of what you've been talking, you still have to back it up. And if you don't, we're going to have ourselves a real issue. Real issue, man. Real issue. But we got to go and get out of here, even still, and end off this show with a bang. And we appreciate all the love and support that you've had. We enjoyed you all on this show. We got to go and wrap it up and send it home and get on out of here. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, nope, wrong button. Hold on a minute. There we go. This has been another episode of The Watchable with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. We appreciate all of you tuning in and supporting on our show. Thank you for joining in with us and having yourself an abundance of fun and a great time right here on The Watchable. Hopefully, you like what we had to offer. Hopefully, you enjoyed the show and we entertained you all throughout this 2 hours and 30 or so minutes. If you can, leave a like on the stream before you leave. One like makes a world of difference for us to be able to grow and flourish and shine on our show to reach the matches all across the globe. Thank you to everybody who came in and supported on the stream. You all were wonderful. All of you who chatted and responded and who came through and showed up and showed out on our stream. We appreciate you for coming through and making this show so enjoyable. Be sure to rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, you name it. We are there for you to listen to all across the globe. And if you can, please be sure to go through and subscribe to the channel. Come join the Empire and be a part of the hottest show in all of the globe right here on YouTube and on every, like I said before, podcasting platform imaginable. And please be sure, if you can, not just to subscribe, not just to like, but to share the show with everybody that you know, so we can keep on building up this empire together, all with you and your support. If you can also if you want to support the channel and help us to go and keep on going through, because we are funded by viewers like you all. We have Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description, super chats, super gift stickers, and the like, all for you to go and help to edify this show and help support this show, almost to the empire, to help us be able to grow, flourish, and shine, and to for me to pay the bills and to help invest back into the show to make it even more entertaining and fun for all of you to tune in and enjoy all across the globe. But with all that being said, I've been Jean-Luc Welch. You all have been absolutely wonderful. Peace and love. Oh, we are out of here. Yes, sir. Salute to you. We can't wait to see you all next week. Talking about more about the world of boxing, the sports world, and beyond. All to entertain the masses all across the globe. Be safe, be blessed, and we are out of here.